Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have Vlad, all the way from Macedonia.
Hello, everybody.
And he's been educating me about Macedonia and the history, so I'm going to ask him to give a recap and I'll throw some questions as goes. He's also a guitar player. He's got a guitar in the back. It's very nice, apart from the cat that scratched his guitar. So nice to have you here today, Vlad.
Thank you for having me, Simon.
So before we get into it, why England? Why London?
Well,
assuming you're not here for holiday.
Yeah, I'm not here for holiday. No, I live here. I've, part of the reason is, as a child, obviously always influenced by watching movies, American movies mostly. But then it's really hard to get to America, so we ended up in London. The visa thing is hard.
The second best place.
Living out the British dream.
Okay. And how was London when you first come here? What age did you get? How long you been here? What age did you come here?
I got here when I was 23, 23, something like that. I remember I was quite overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. It was by how busy it was. Everything's moving, a lot of people. Like the economy's flourishing, or looked like it compared to back home. There was a lot of things to learn, I learned that you don't really make friends with your neighbors in London. That's not a thing.
Well, so wait, were you from a rural area?
No, I came from the city, but even it was a large city, but compared to, I would say it was the size of maybe Bournemouth or something like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not a million people then?
No, not a million, not even close. Maybe 100,000 people.
Okay.
And then you know your neighbors. You go on Tinder. You've seen all your cousins there. The whole the whole family.
You come from a big family?
I come from a very big family. Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters you got?
Well, I mean, I have one brother, but my grandparents, they both have. My grandma has 6 siblings on her side. My granddad has 5 siblings on his side, and so lots of cousins, lots of uncles, aunties, nephews, and all of that. All the uncles, half of them are dodgy, but what can you expect from the uncle?
So how was it when we say dodgy? What kind of things?
Oh, just like legal grey area stuff, probably bitcoins and.
Okay. That's not illegal now. Is it illegal in Macedonia?
No. It's legal, but I think you have to tax. You have to pay tax on this stuff.
Yeah, bollocks.
And they always find a way around it.
I'm not paying tax on that.
Yeah, we're not paying tax.
Okay.
Screw the government and all of that.
So give us one question before we get started. You said you realised that you don't speak to your neighbours. You can't make friends with your neighbours in London.
Yeah.
How did you find that out?
Well, I was coming home from work and I was living in this block of flats. Sort of like, and it was, how they have that one long stretch of balcony and you have flats right next to each other.
So what area is this?
This was in Stamford Hill.
Okay.
Stamford Hill.
Oh, yeah.
So the guy's sitting at the end. He's outside his flat. He's having a cigarette or a coffee or something. And as I walked through to get to my flat, I just said, kind of said hello. And then he gave me sort of like a suspicious look, but they said hello as well. And then the next day, when I left the flat, he put a fence next to his flat. And I'm like, oh, what's that about? Why is there a fence? So I said, maybe I came across as weird. So I said, let me introduce myself. I said, hey, I'm Vlad, nice to meet you. You can come in for a coffee anytime. I just moved in here. And he was like, oh, Vlad, like Vladimir Putin. Like, that's not a nice comparison. He's like, what's your name, pal? He goes, I'm Jim. I'm like, yeah, like Jimmy Savile.
Hey! What did he say to that?
Nothing. He's just like jaw dropped. I was like, that's the medicine right there. You want to be?
Yeah. But what it is. It's only not nice if you see Putin as a terrible person.
Yeah.
I don't see Putin as a terrible person. I know I'll probably get a lot of jib for this on social media, but I see he's doing his thing, and what he's doing with his thing and his people, that's his business.
Yeah.
You see, if you see what I mean. But that's just my personal point. But yeah. So the history of Macedonia.
History of Macedonia, right? Where shall we start? Alexander the Great.
Wait a minute, that's a good point.
Yeah, we can roll this back to pre-Roman Empire times.
So wait a minute, because he was Greek, but he wasn't Greek as in Greek at that time, was he?
Yeah, so the thing is, yeah, his mother is Greek and his father is Macedonian.
But
so Philip II.
Was Greek just like a city at that time? Or was it a nation of people? Or
No. So you had city-states,
Mm-hmm.
and then, so for example, Athens was a city-state, Sparta, that was like a different city-state. And so, obviously, we didn't have the concept of nation, so it wasn't like the whole of Greece
Yeah,
coming
it's just
together.
tribe, clans,
Yeah.
things like that.
The thing with why we're called North Macedonia now, is because we had a dispute, we have a running dispute with Greece over who has a claim, stakes into the claim of we're Macedonia.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I consider myself Macedonian because not only do I live geographically on the same land as my ancestors did,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever was part of that old Macedonia, of the old Macedonian Empire that then fell into a smaller kingdom, etc., etc. Those lands, I would say around a third of those lands are now within the Republic of now called North Macedonia.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's realistically, it's very plausible. I mean, it's fact for me that I am Macedonian.
Mm-hmm.
And
So what's your passport say?
Macedonian.
Oh, okay.
Well, now they've made it really weird because when they changed the name to North Macedonia in the passport, when you under citizenship, it says Macedonian / citizen of North Macedonia.
Why is there a divide?
Because the other part of Macedonia is now in the Republic of Greece.
Why?
Because I mean, when the nation started forming, they took that part, and now part of that isn't there.
What year is that?
So we're talking. I mean, Greece became a republic in, don't hold me on this, but I believe 1874, and the geopolitics though, how the West influences the East starts from way back. Do you know what I?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, especially now today in the West, I hear a lot like, oh, you know, we don't want to get involved in whatever's happening in other countries, but realistically, they've been involved in the question of other countries for millennia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for over 1,000 years. So you can't possibly make all these decisions and then excuse yourself that I don't take any part of this, because the question of how Greece becomes a nation, a republic, was not answered in Greece. It was answered in the headquarters in London. It was in London. It was the big powers, the France, Germany, England, that were deciding the fate of.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is, yes, Greece became a nation. The concept of Greece as a nation was formed then, late 19th century. Meanwhile, Macedonia was under the Ottoman Empire. It will remain until under the Ottomans till about I believe 1920s. 1920s is when the Ottomans left.
Mm-hmm.
And so a large part of the population back then, Macedonian population, which was now suddenly found in a new nation called Greece, the Republic of Greece, was being persecuted. Was being persecuted for speaking Macedonian, for not speaking
By
Greece.
the Greeks.
Yeah, it was forbidden to speak Macedonian. These communities, it was by law. You know, and there are many
They're really
evidence of this.
They're really trying to not breed you out, but how do I put it? Because the English had the same thing with the Welsh.
Right.
They forbid them from speaking their languages, as well as you couldn't work in the mines. So yeah, they really. There's a word, but it's not coming to mind right now. But,
Assimilation.
Yeah, that's what it.
Yeah.
They're really trying to assimilate you lot, but in a very aggressive manner.
Yeah, the problem with creating a state at that time was that the concept of nation was almost very much brutal back in the day, because it was we have to have this one nation and I have to speak one language, and we can't have different, you know, we can't have different beliefs, we can't have diversity within the nation. Obviously in 21st century for us that seems like ridiculous. Of course, you can have a nation full of different beliefs, different languages within that one nation. And so, I mean, not only the Macedonian community, there were other communities that were also being persecuted in this time. And so that was one part of the struggle and one part of the identity not being recognized. I don't know where that action came from. For me, I think personally it stems from fear that one day the Macedonian people would be like, oh well, you know what, those are our people, those are our lands, etc., etc. Now, I think it was dangerous to preemptively kind of persecute these people just on the off chance that they might rise up. If anything, that will make it even worse. And this is why, you know, I don't agree with what's happening in Ukraine, because it's sort of like, oh, Russia's saying, oh, we have a stake in that country, etc., etc. Therefore, we need to reclaim that, annex that region, and take it for our own.
But all right, just to get into politics a bit there, but and this is why I say I don't see Putin as such a bad guy. Obviously, every leader has their problems or their situations, but is it more of a case that Europe and the UN are trying to put weapons aimed at Russia in that country, and setting up, there's rumours, I haven't done research on this, about like a biological centre like that they had in Wuchang, and that's what Putin's upset about, saying, well, you can't do that, you didn't like it when we were going to put weapons in Cuba, and Cuba's a republic, and there's never been anything to do with America. So when you say it's more of a case like that, then it's just some guy who's rolling in there and saying, you need to do what I say.
Well, the thing is, first of all, I think the rumors can be debunked about the biological weapons. I think that, so the thing with EU and UN, or more than EU and UN, I would say, because NATO is, you know, I don't trust NATO either. I don't trust NATO at all, and they override UN decisions all the time. They did that with bombing Belgrade in 1999. You know, they needed UN approval, they did not get it, they went in anyway. They were not lambasted in Western media at all. It was all just like, oh, they were not portrayed as villains at all. And you know, so from a very early age, at least for me, I've started developing this mistrust towards NATO and towards how controlled the narrative is from the West when it's coming from the West.
Both sides control the narrative. It's just that our side, for some reason, believes that they don't. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. For some, well, this is something I think the people in here need to answer for themselves. I think it's easy to turn a blind eye to it all, because if anything, people in Western countries are comfortable to the point of becoming inactive. As you know, as long as they're comfortable, you can easily suppress their opinions, or you can easily let them give them entertainment and let them forget about everything. So I think it's indifference. But to go back to the point, in any case, I think what, you know, there was an interview, I think, with was it Oliver Stone, the director? Was he a director that interviewed Putin?
Yeah, he did.
And I agree with what he said about that. You know, Putin fell into the trap when he invaded Ukraine. He fell into the trap of NATO because he gave NATO an excuse to react. If before they were slowly encroaching and rebuilding NATO expansion after NATO expansion, because that was what Putin's primary worry was about. Now suddenly, by doing a more sort of forceful act of invading, it gave NATO the excuse to completely be on high alarm and get in there.
It's like chess, where you just have to protect certain elements.
Yeah, it's a big chess game. But also seeing it from, let's give a hypothetical example. Let's say, for example, Macedonia is embroiled in a political conflict at the minute with Bulgaria, and the Bulgarian government is saying, oh, you know what, if Macedonia wants to join the EU, they have to admit that the Macedonian language is not Macedonian, it's Bulgarian.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very big statement to make, and obviously untrue. We didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, we're Bulgarian. And things like that.
Yeah. So rolling on, that is part of Tito and the whole process that you're coming to. Is that right? With the leader and the division of all the states.
So no, so the if we go back to the topic about the history of Macedonia, so right, so Tito, he fights off the Nazis with the help of mainly aided by the Soviets in terms of weapons and money, etc. etc.
Okay.
Then Stalin asked Tito for Yugoslavia to be part of the Soviet Union. Tito says, no, we're going to do our own thing, we're going to make Yugoslavia. Tito and Stalin split. And so Macedonia enters Yugoslavia as a socialist federative republic. And this is when Macedonia has its national framework outlined for the very first time.
So just to explain, because obviously people get communism and socialism confused.
Yeah.
What is the difference of the two based on your experience?
Right, so communism is sort of like the end game of socialism. So to reach communism, you have to start with socialism. Socialism is the practical first step to communism. And so let me give you a practical example, right? So what was happening in the Socialist Republic, in the Socialist Federation of Yugoslavia, right, was eventually that even after the leader dies, so even after Tito dies, then the idea is that the system will manage itself. That eventually you'll reach a stage where there won't need to be a leader. That the community will reach those values, and to the effect that you won't need someone to control anything. You won't need police officers. You won't need people to check up on corruption and things like that. That all of this will be eradicated in socialism, and then in communism, people will be able to live in a self sort of managing system. Now, in the Socialist Federation, for example, people, like, you go into the supermarket, you can use like these little cards, like vouchers, basically. They're food vouchers, essentially. So one of the practical methods was to slowly, eradicate money, because that's the ideal. That's why we say communism is ideal, because it's not really realistic. It's not really realistic because, for example, you go and you work.
So they want the barter system. The barter system. I've got 10 carrots, you've got 10 apples. I give you 10.
No. You go. For example, you drive for 8 hours. You've done your bit today. You go to the supermarket. You pick the food. You take how much you need. You don't take more than what you need. You go home, and whatever you have, the property you have is covered by the state. Now, depending on which model we use, the Yugoslavian model was a very experimental one, because we still had like a Western economy, like open market economy. So people, and then obviously this didn't work because a lot of people would show up to work and they steal from the factories.
Okay, human nature.
Yeah, they'll steal from or they'll be lazy. A lot of people wouldn't work, and then they'll steal stock. They'll steal trading goods. So obviously the system will collapse. I mean, Yugoslavia was in debt most of the time.
Did they have national service at the time?
Is it health service? Or?
No, national. Yeah, did they have health service, but did they also have military? Everybody had to be in the military.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was mandatory. But all the money was coming in from credits from the state, from the United States. And that was mainly because I think in a way the US was indebted to Yugoslavia's rise against Nazism, etc., etc.
Okay.
So that was all kind of connected.
I'm with you. So you said Stalin tried to kill Tito.
Yeah, on multiple occasions.
And he failed,
He failed.
and so he become closer to the West.
I wouldn't say he did. I think Tito was very clever because he was playing a double game. He was playing the West and he was playing the East. And also he had a non-aligned movement with 50 African countries as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in which they traded goods all the time. So if you go to many places in Africa, if you mention Tito or Yugoslavia, people know.
Okay, so he's of that era. So what happened in his death? How did he die?
So he died, I think he had some health problems. They had to cut off his leg. And then
Sounds
shortly
like
after that, he died.
diabetes.
Yeah, he had some sort of health issues with sugar related, insulin related. And so what happened the next 10 years, there was rotational presidency every year. But you know, I think people already knew that everything is coming to an end. The federation is coming to an end. And yeah, that's when the Balkans sort of, Yugoslavia slipped into a bloody war, the Bosnian War, 91 to 95.
Oh, so 5 years, a good old war, 91 to 95. Okay. So how did, what happened during that war? You said they split up. How did they split up?
So basically they had a peace agreement in place. So this is interesting because it's we have some of the similar elements to what's happening in Russia and Ukraine now, in that in Bosnia you had Catholic Croats, you had Orthodox Serbs, you had Bosnian Muslims. And so if Bosnia was to become a state, Serbia and Croatia were pushing that, oh well, we've got a minority there, we want our rights to be represented, blah 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 blah. And so they came up with a peace plan to make like ethnic cantons, the way they have in Switzerland, for example. So you have like regions where it's more autonomous zone run by the Serbs or autonomous zone run by the Croats.
Okay.
That failed. The plan failed, and then.
Why did it fail?
It failed for many reasons. They couldn't agree. I think, you know, people were the people that came into power, into the First Nations, to the Republic of Serbia, the Republic of Croatia, the Republic of Bosnia, were very hungry for power, and the theme was ethno-national politics. And that's very dangerous when you have that, because it means one nation, one ethnicity, one state. That means everything else is excluded.
All right, so if there's one ethnicity, is that based on just race, culture, religion?
Well, it would be based on one religion, definitely. Now the race thing, I don't think it. You know,
would have come into it because you're all white.
Yeah, it's quite homogenous.
Yeah.
It's quite homogenous. I mean, we have a big Romani Gypsy community, but in this case it was homogenous. So it was religious based.
Okay.
And you know, it was the Bosnian War was probably the most brutal war.
So just to make sure I understand, because I always got confused on this, you had Yugoslavia, everything was Yugoslavia, and Tito run it. Then he died, and it split up into 7 or 8 fractions.
It split up into 6.
6.
Later
so
7.
Bosnia, Serbia,
Let's run through them.
Macedonia.
Bosnia, Serbia, Macedonia, Slovenia, Croatia, and then Serbia and Montenegro was together then. Now Montenegro is separate from Serbia, and Kosovo, so 8 in total. Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, Croatia, Bosnia, Macedonia, Slovenia. Did I miss any?
So
6.
So all those wars were happening at the same time?
No. So what happened was, well, first I think Slovenia was first, and they had maybe a 7-day shootout with the Yugoslav army, and then they split up peacefully. That's what Slovenia, I think, it's doing the best momentarily, like economically wise and etc. And then Croatia split up as well. But then the actual war happened in Bosnia. So Croatian forces, Serbian forces, Bosnian forces. Macedonia split up peacefully as well in '91. But what happened, Macedonia's problems came 10 years later. Because there was a war in Macedonia. And it was people who took up arms against Milosevic in the Kosovo War in '99. Some of them split up and formed a radical group. Formed a terrorist group, and then started terrorizing political, military, police institutions in Macedonia.
So from '91 until about, would it be fair to say
this is all comedy, yay!
2000 that you've been fighting? That region had been fighting for 10 years, a good 10 years. They're all fighting at some time or other.
Yeah, you could say that. 91 to 95 Bosnian War, 99 was the Kosovo War and the bombing of Belgrade by NATO. And then 2001 was Macedonia War.
Yeah, because I was meant to go to Kosovo when I was in the military. But
you were served?
Yeah, I was served in the military, but I didn't go because I had the opportunity to do a degree.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he told me, go and do your degree. The officer, he said, there will be another war for you to join in to. But I obviously didn't know anything about the whole campaign and what it was really going on and what caused it. And
was this with the British Army?
this was the British military. Yeah, it would have been with the Jamaican and stuff like that.
Really? So when was this? Which
This
year?
is like '98.
Oh, 98. So they already knew.
Yeah, 98, 99, something like that. Yeah. So they must have known. You said it started in Kosovo in '99.
Yeah, 99. I think it was. 99 was definitely the year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's peace in the region now.
Peace in the region, very much so.
And then everybody gets on with everybody. Is that right? So could you go, as a Macedonian, could you go to any of those other 7 countries?
Oh, as in, no, between each other, yeah, completely fine. I mean, Serbia and Macedonia have always stayed on friendly relations. Okay. And it's almost like a brotherly nation. Also never had any issues in Croatia. The Croatia and Serbia, there's still quite a lot of animosity. So my last name is Ilic. Which is a Serbian last name, because my granddad's Serbian. So I remember when we were students and we did like this cross Balkan trip. Students from Croatia, from Serbia, from Bosnia, Macedonia. We all went to Zagreb in Croatia.
So you were born what year?
93.
Oh, so you're born in the campaign then?
I'm born in the Republic.
Yeah. When it was all happening, you were born.
Yeah.
It can't have been that. Yeah, it can't have been that bad. So you're a real love child.
Yeah. I'm a love child. Well, you could say that. No, I generally stayed out of trouble, but what we experienced was just lots of fighting on the streets, pretty much. Lots of don't go to that part, and avoiding a group of people. I got my head kicked in a couple of times, but.
Oh, is it? Why?
Yeah,
why? Because you've walked into this wrong area.
Because I was Macedonian, and they were pissed off.
And they're still
during the war.
Yeah, they're still remembering the issues.
Yeah, I mean, no, this was in the actual year of, and the aftermath. I think until 2005, it was, especially I come from a town very much close to Kosovo.
Well, in 2005. How old have you been then? You said you're born in
2005. I was 12.
And so you're getting into fights over that as a 12-year-old then?
Well, I wasn't getting into the fights. It's more like, for example, one time I was heading to my guitar lesson with my guitar, and I needed to pass this high school, this Albanian high school, and there was a group of them, a bit older, maybe 17, 18, They were just hanging about outside. And you know, I know that I need to cross the street in order, but it was too late because they already saw me from afar, and I was like, well, this is it, and I've got a guitar that's nowhere to run, so I'm just gonna have to take this beating. So that's what I did. I dropped the guitar, they came running at me. I tried to swoop in a punch or two if I could. Then just you kind of cover yourself and you gotta take it, and then you keep going.
Did you come back for them later on?
I actually found the main guy because obviously I told my brother and my family back home, and it was actually my mum who saw him on the street when I was walking with him.
Okay, what happened then?
Yeah, she beat him up. You don't mess with a mum.
Is
You
it?
don't mess with a mum. Yeah, she's an alpha woman.
So, where's your dad? Was your dad around or?
Yeah, he's around. He's back home.
Okay,
He's back home.
so your dad just left your mum to deal with it, but your brother stood guard in case. And what did the kid say? How old was the kid?
He was like 17 or 18.
So he's beating up a 12-year-old. Yeah. So what did he say when he's getting beaten?
Nothing. He just kept apologizing. Oh, he went because we're much respect to the families that, like, especially their parents and
elders,
their generation.
yeah.
Yeah, the elders. They really, if they hear they would really be strict with them. So obviously, he was getting beaten in front of his family, and his family was like, "Yeah, you deserve this."
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Hey, but I like that though,
Yeah.
because wrong is wrong and right is right.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that,
Exactly.
I like
They
that.
respect that.
Yeah. And as long as your mum don't go too far,
There's a couple of uppercuts in there. I can't lie. She's a strong woman.
So, about this guitar, because obviously you've got the guitar in the car. How long we know you've been playing the guitar since 12 years old.
Yeah.
So, why the guitar?
Why the guitar?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I taking it?
Why? Why did you choose the guitar as a weapon,
Oh, because
as an instrument to play?
I always loved music as a way of, expressing myself at the time, because I think, the guitar, rock and roll, hard rock at the time was a way of kind of everything that was happening in the country. Hard rock was that, in a way. Everything that I wanted to say that we couldn't say, it was a way of expressing myself through the music. The guitar and the stand-up comedy.
I see you're a comedian as well.
Yeah.
Really?
Comedy,
You're
yeah.
a full-time comedian?
I'm not yet full-time. Comedy doesn't pay
Alright,
as
so
much as
what's
you
your
want to.
Instagram page then so people can follow you?
Okay, it's at Vladislav Baby Don't.
Alright, you're going to need to spell all that.
Okay, so you know the song Vladislav
Baby, don't hurt me.
Okay,
Don't hurt
yeah.
me.
So,
no,
but
no.
just
I
instead
love
of
that song.
Vladislav, so that's VLADISLAV, or if you want the other alphabet, Victor Lima Alpha Delta India Sierra Lima Alpha Victor.
Were you ever in the military?
No, I wasn't, but I was really obsessed with. See, the thing is, when I was young, because there was so many NATO troops patrolling around and UN was being mentioned and all of this, I just started picking up on this lexicon, this vocabulary. And there were many NATO soldiers in my town.
Yeah.
And I remember if they looked different, because, we as kids would get so excited to see some guy with a big gun there standing.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck is this guy? This was our street.
So it took over about 10 years, and now NATO, have they all left?
NATO left a long time ago, yeah.
Okay.
They were only there for a brief period. I'd say 99 to 2001.
See, that's one of the rare occasions they've actually just left. Normally they try and keep a foothold
Yeah.
in that respect.
Now it's peaceful, it's great, but you know what? I don't think there's enough dialogue. There should be more dialogue between Macedonians and Albanians, but I mean like real dialogue, Really, it's all kind of just hush-hush, everything is separated.
Well, sometimes that's the best thing, and then what happens as generations die out and new generations come,
I know,
they start to amalgamate.
I know, but you know what it is? The elders, you say that, but the older generations, they pass this on. this almost frustration to the younger generation, and the younger generation starts harboring resentment.
But that gets broken down. I'll give you an example. My gran came to this country in the late 50s, early 60s, and suffered a hell of a lot of racism.
Yeah.
Now you still get racist white people here.
Yeah.
And I know that because I put out something on social media, and the amount of racist things, and it wasn't just white people, there's people from all over the world being very racist or ignorant about certain topics. But as generations come, people mix with other people.
Yeah. And
you start to have friends, you have things in common, whether it's football team, music, etc., sports, and barriers get broken down because no, I really like this guy. I don't care what people say about this. This guy's okay. Do you see what I mean? And that's how it comes. You're going to get the die-harders, but in time, hopefully, they will fade away.
Yeah, I hope so. But that's the thing. I think there needs to be. Obviously, I mean, don't get me wrong. Even older people, even when we were kids and fighting on the streets with my other Albanian neighbors and this and that, we're very good friends now. Because we found a joint thing, which is to leave the country for you could find somebody else to hate as well. We all hate these people. That's very common. That is very common, man. Oh yeah. Oh, the Macedonians are fine, but the Australians, fuck the Australians, man.
But listen, it's been a great interview. We appreciate. Remind people where they can find you again.
Yeah, if you find me on Instagram, even if you write Vlad Ilic, YouTube Vlad Ilic comedy, TikTok Vlad Ilic comedy, Vlad Ilic BBC, you can watch my clips on there. I'm posting daily. Yeah. Anyway, great chat to you, Simon, as well.
Okay, no problem, mate. And as usual, if you press the links down below, you'll see all his hashtags and everything that leads to his entertainment.
Yeah, and remember, screw NATO.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.